So let's talk. Let's discuss on attention. All right. There's another beautiful quote from Marcus Aurelius. My Instagram's blowing up now because this is crazy. I'm not even going to talk about it, but Willow knows. But I'm done with that, man. We got to put away distractions, which leads me to my point. If you have a copy of Meditations, okay, let me just do this. If you have a copy of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, all of you should have a copy of this, okay? But in case you don't, that's all right. I'll read it to you. If you turn to page 28, you want to follow along, you can. On page 28 at the bottom, where it says 4, this is what it says. Don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about other people unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful. You'll be too preoccupied with what so-and-so is doing and why and what they're saying and what they're thinking and what they're up to and all the other things that throw you off and keep you from focusing on your own mind. You need to avoid certain things in your train of thought, everything random, everything irrelevant, and certainly everything self-important or malicious. You need to get used to winnowing your thoughts so that if someone says, "What are you thinking about?" you can respond at once and truthfully that you are thinking this or thinking that. And it would be obvious at once from your answer that your thoughts were straightforward and considerate ones, the thoughts of an unselfish person, one unconcerned with pleasure and with sensual indulgence generally, with squabbling, with slander and envy, or anything else you'd be ashamed to be caught thinking. Someone like that, someone who refuses to put off joining the elect, is a kind of priest, a servant of the gods, in touch with what is within him and what keeps a person undefiled by pleasures, invulnerable to any pain, untouched by arrogance, unaffected by meanness, an athlete in the greatest of all contests, the struggle not to be overwhelmed by anything that happens. With what leaves us dyed indelibly by justice, welcoming wholeheartedly whatever comes, whatever we're assigned, not worrying too often or with any selfish motive about what other people say or do or think. He does only what is his to do and considers constantly what the world has in store for him, doing his best and trusting that all is for the best. For we carry our fate with us, and it carries us. Now, I could keep going, but I mean, actually, you know what? There's one more paragraph, and then that's the end of it. So I'll finish this off. He keeps in mind that all rational things are related, and that to care for all human beings is part of being human, which doesn't mean we have to share their opinions. We should listen only to those who we should only listen to those whose lives conform to nature. And the other, he bears in mind what sort of people they are, both at home and abroad, by night as well as day, and who they spend their time with. And he cares nothing for their praise, men who can't even meet their own standards. Dude, did y'all hear that? Look, I may not be the best reader, right? But did you hear that? I mean, man, I'm not going to say Marcus is a genius, but that is just very profound. Very profound. Very wise. I mean, it's no wonder that when you learn that he was taught philosophy growing up by tutors and mentors, I mean, well, no shit, by the time he's 30, 40 years old, he's got all this knowledge and wisdom. And he literally writes this to himself. He's telling himself all of this, bro. He was literally spitting bars at himself. And that's one thing the Stoics were into as well. Like it wasn't just wisdom, but it was other things too. Like especially people like Cicero, who was a politician. They were really big on speaking as well. So they were saying, hey, look, if you want to be a speaker, you got to have some finesse. You got to have some razzle dazzle. You got to win people over, not just through what you say, but it's how you say it. So they had a lot of, I wouldn't say big words, but just beautiful words and fluent, right? To get the message to the people. And I think you see that within Marcus, but even if it was just to himself. So, in other words, what do we do with information like this? When we read a passage like that, what do we do with it? Right? It's like, okay, John, well, this is kind of cool, don't worry about other people. Keep your thoughts like in order. All right, that's all fine and dandy, but what does that mean for us? Well, look, if you go back and you really reread this, again, it's on tail end of page 28, all of page 29, and a brief portion of page 30. You look at this and you just realize what a waste of energy it is, that you could be doing other things with it. And this is what I try to tell you guys sometimes. And I fall into this trap too, where I waste my energy trying to explain myself or try to argue with somebody. It's all a waste of time. If you think about this for a moment, because later Marcus does say, you could leave life right now, let that determine what you do and say and think. If you just imagine for a second that all of us here listening right now, that all of us make it to like 90, 95 or whatever, and we're old and frail and sick, and we're getting ready to pass on. And imagine for a second, you're in a hospital bed. Maybe you've got family coming to visit. There's some flowers or whatever. The nurse brought you some Jell-O, great. And you're sitting there and you're like, this is it. This is the end. And you look back at your life and you're gonna go, man, I really should have not wasted that time. What so-and-so said or what so-and-so did, fuck them. Not in like a malicious way, but more like it's just meaningless. I said this before. I've had arguments with people and I couldn't even tell you what half of it was about. I couldn't even tell you what the shit was about movies or, God, sports, worst of all. LeBron's the best. No, Kobe's the best. No, Jordan's the best. They don't know you, bro. They don't know you. They don't care about you. Well, rest in peace, Kobe. But I'm just saying, like, the things that you're paying attention to is trivial. They're not worth it. So how do you pay attention in a world like today in 2023, where we all have cell phones, right? We need to eliminate distractions. Okay. And you need to pay attention. There's another passage that I posted in the Discord earlier today, because someone said, I think it was Kevin, who said, I posted the chart and everything, and he made a comment. And then I had posted this on page 18, part number 5, where Marcus says, concentrate every minute like a Roman, like a man, on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and on freeing yourself from all other distractions. Yes, you can, if you do everything as if it were the last thing you were doing in your life. And stop being aimless. Stop letting your emotions override what your mind tells you. Stop being hypocritical, self-centered, and irritable. There's part 6 is unrelated, but then part 7, and I didn't highlight this, but I've got an asterisk next to it. He says, do external things distract you? Then make time for yourself to learn something worthwhile. Stop letting yourself be pulled in all directions, but make sure you guard against the other kind of confusion. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work. Now, when I read that, I think it was like the second time. The reason I have that asterisk is because that fucking hits like a train, bro. It really does. That last part, especially. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse toward are wasting their time, even when hard at work. Seneca said, no man, or if a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. I've said that time and time again too. You got to have goals and dreams, right? You got to be going somewhere. And that's fine. It's great. Even to have a plan, that's great. But what good is a plan if you're distracted? What good is watching the charts, taking trades if you're distracted? You got to remain focused. You have to pay attention. You have to concentrate like a Roman, as Marcus would say. Okay? And I guess the first thing I would do is look, man, when it comes to cell phones, the greatest thing ever, okay, if you've got an iPhone, the greatest thing ever, when you're at your home screen, and then you have when you drag the top down, and then this screen comes up, there's a beautiful button. It's got an airplane on it. It's airplane mode. That's the mode that you're supposed to be on when you get onto a flight and they say, hey, we need you to silence all devices or whatever. That's what that's for. Dude, I abuse the airplane mode. I absolutely love the airplane mode. My phone, honestly, is probably on airplane more than it's not. When I go to bed, it's on airplane. When I'm reading, airplane. If I'm trying to do anything important, airplane every time. I don't want to be distracted, and this might sound bad coming from a mentor, but I don't want to be available 24/7. I don't want to be available 24/7. It sounds great when you might hear somebody say, hey, you know what? I'm available anytime. Anytime you need me, I'm there. That's fine on the surface, but in reality, that's actually not a good thing for that person. And let me tell you why. If I was available for every one-on-one, for every time somebody wants to call me or hop on a Zoom or ask me questions or whatever, if I spent my entire time doing that, I would have time for nothing else. Wouldn't have time to read, wouldn't have time to trade. I wouldn't have time for shit. So I do my best to help you out when I can. There's a chat that's open. Any of you can type into the chat. You can ask your questions. You can post a chart, or you can send me a chart on Instagram. I could probably pull it up, right? I'm here for you now, but I may not be available 24/7. I'm going to get burnt out too. You know what I mean? So you have to take today's conversation, what we talked about with meditations. I gave you like 3 or 4 different ideas here from Marcus. And you got to look back on the last couple of weeks and you say, and you might think like, oh, you know what? Maybe I have been distracted. Maybe I need to reevaluate. Maybe I need to change my schedule or, you know, move some shit around. I don't know what it is, but you need to remain focused. We're getting ready to get into quarter 4. For March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Yeah. So October, November, December is quarter 4. So Q4 is in 4 days. Okay. So now is not the time to get complacent or to become distracted. We still have work to do. So put away the distractions, stay focused, master your focus, master your attention, and stop being like what Marcus said, just all over the place. Your thoughts are over here and over there, or your attention is probably over here and over there and just all over the place. And I think I personally think he got that idea from Seneca, because Seneca was the one who said, if a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Stop living aimlessly, right? And Marcus quite literally says, stop being aimless. So it's just interesting. He doesn't mention Seneca, but he almost quotes him. But anyway, the whole point is when you focus and you hone in the skill set, right? There we go. Then you're able to start doing shit like shorting this. Because I'm not worried about what other people are saying, what other streamers are doing, who's doing what on Twitter, who's trying to launch some bitch ass course. I don't care about none of that shit. And none of that is even in my mind. As Mark Douglas would probably say, I'm in the zone. I don't give a shit about none of that. I'm focused. I'm going, okay, where's the market going? Where's it come from? And how can I get in? What's my risk? What's my reward? Is it worth taking? Yes or no? All right, cool. Let's do it. Or let's not. And literally, you're being in the zone. But first, before you even think about trying to get into the zone, distractions have to be put away. They have to be put away. So with that being said, that is going to be it for today. Even if the government shut down, I don't know. They always talk shit. It's always, they're going to shut down. They do, they don't. They're going to try and pass a bill or pass some other bill that's got some shit thrown in there. Like, all that's bullshit to me. It's all trivial to me. Okay? The only thing that's not trivial is if they actually shut the markets off. Like, oh, no, the stock market's shutting down. We're not going to allow trading. Then you got my attention. Then you got me going, okay, man, what the fuck is going on? But until that happens, if it ever does, I don't give two shits about any of that. It's all bullshit. You never heard somebody say, you know what, man? I became a millionaire because I was so involved with what's going on in Washington. No one's ever said that. Man, I became a multi-millionaire paying attention to what Jimmy John is doing down the street. I was so worried about other people, I became a millionaire doing it. You never heard some shit like that. Never. Because nobody does that. You go at you find if there's some local millionaires that you know of, go talk to them and go ask them what they do. You know what, man? I sleep all day and I fucking worry about other people, and that's how I made millions of dollars. None of them have done that. None of them have said that. They go, you know what, man? I focused. I stayed in my lane. I focused on my job, and I got fucking rich doing it. That's what they'll tell you. Most of them. Okay. How did I become a trader that's able to do this? Or like with gold, able to tell you, hey, I think gold's going to short, and it absolutely rips everyone a new asshole? Is because I stayed in my lane, I paid attention, and I stopped giving a fuck what anybody was doing. For the most part. Sometimes I did get caught up in it. I'm not perfect, okay? I expect progress, but not perfection, okay? I can't tell you to be perfect because I'm not perfect. I expect you to progress, but not be perfect. So if you want to write that down, you can too. Progress, not perfection. Okay? Thanks, Andreas. Thank you, Willow and Sean. Hey, Burnett, that's okay. That's okay. It's not a terrible thing. That's the first step in changing anything, is recognizing a problem. The first step in AA and NA as well. Not that I've ever been to NA. Okay. The first step in moving forward is admitting you have a problem. That's why they all speak the same way. Hi, my name is Jennifer and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, my name is Billy Bob and I'm an alcoholic. Right? It's recognizing that you have a problem. And if I say something and you go, oh shit, that kind of hurt, that kind of stung, right? that means something. That means it's yourself going, oh shit, he's right and I'm fucking up. Because I do it too. I might read a passage, or I might read the Daily Stoic and go, you know what, man, he's right. He's right. I have been distracted, or I have been doing something that's not advantageous. And that's what you want, though. You don't want to go, whatever, man. Whatever. Don't block yourself from blessings, man. Don't block yourself from becoming a better person or a better trader. Admitting is the first step.